welcome to the Time Machine second hour. This is your boy Jay Mace, playing the best of new and old school hip-hop, R&B, and everything else in between. But with me on the phone right now, I have a pioneer in breakdancing and dancing in general. Shabba-Doo, better known as Ozone from Breakin and Breakin 2, Electric Boogaloo. Shabba-Doo, welcome to the Time Machine, my man.
Thank you for having me.
No problem, man. I appreciate you taking the time out to do this interview.
Well, it's my pleasure.
All right, now let's go ahead and get this underway. Now, was dancing something you always wanted to do, or did you happen to stumble upon it?
A little bit of both. Just as a kid growing up in Chicago, I used to dance, I guess as most people do, for their parents, or maybe some house parties or whatever that my parents may have at their home. And one thing led to another, and my sister and I began to dance around Chicago. But it wasn't anything that I really dreamed of or thought that I would be in terms of being a professional. I was like, I guess, most kids. I wanted to be, a fireman or something else.
So you pretty much had aspirations to do the regular thing, and, you happened to get a career in popping and locking.
Well, no, I happened to get a career as a locker, me being an original member of the group, the Lockers. We started my career as a soul train dancer. So soul dancing was a key, and popping and locking are two different art forms. Locking is something that was started, again, on Soul Train and originated by Don Campbell Lock, and then made famous by the Lockers. And then to a greater degree was perpetuated by my career. Popping, as it's known, or electric boogalooing, those guys I discovered, those guys in the late 70s when I had taken on a solo career.
Okay, so tell me about your experiences as a soul train dancer and being a member of the original Lockers with Don Campbell and Fred Reva Berry from What's Happening, R.I.P. To start it off, I would have to say that it was the most fun that I've ever had in my entire life. They were a great bunch of guys, and like all families, you had your differences, but at the end of the day, we loved each other and we loved what we do, and we continue to love what we do. But I started my tenure as a professional dancer back in circa 1971 when I started dancing on Soul Train with Greg Campbell Jr. Being Greg Campbell Jr.'s protege, he brought me on the show, me and my sister, and we eventually became one of the original Soul Train gang as well. And then, just doing all the popular soul dances, the Funky Chicken, the Mother Popcorn, the Mr. Penguin and all this kind of stuff, the Funky Penguin. And it was from that point forward that I was introduced to Don Campbell, the originator of the style, and Tony Basil put together the group in a kind of Abe Saperstein sort of way, Abe Saperstein having been the gentleman that founded the Harlem Globetrotters. Tony Basil, in much the same way, formed the Lockers and fashioned us into a professional troupe. Wow.
And that was the beginning. I mean, our first show out the chute was the Roberta Flack television special. No, actually, the Roberta Flack television special was the first time that it was introduced on a professional level, but we weren't the Lockers at that point. It was a collection of dancers that were really good at what they do. I wasn't in that particular show, but when the group was formally formed, I was in that first show, and that was the Carol Burnett show.
Okay. And for those of you that don't know, Tony Basil had a hit in the 80s with Mickey.
You're right, exactly.
Oh,
right.
Mickey, you're so fine, you blow my mind. Hey, Mickey, clap if you know. Hey, Mickey.
Yeah.
All right, so
which notably she owns the record for the greatest one-hit wonder of all time.
Yeah, that's definitely a great record, and I'm sure various schools and cheerleaders done did routines to that song, pyramids and basket tosses.
Right.
And all of that good stuff. So, how did you end up getting the role of Ozone for Breakin?
Well, originally during that time there was a number of films that was being produced in Hollywood trying to capitalize on the breakdance movement. One of them being a company called New World Pictures. And at that time, they had a film in production called Body Rock. I was originally the lead of that film. And at one point, they approached me and said, hey, we're going to recast the lead of this show. We wanted a guy the girls would like. And that gentleman happened to have been Lorenzo Lamas. And Lorenzo Lamas was casted in the role of a street dancer in the film Body Rock. I was then called by my agent to meet with a company called Canon Films, headed by Menachem Golem and Yoram Globus, to choreograph a new feature film called Breakin. Well, I went in there, you know, dressed exactly the way I went on to be dressed in the film. And the producer of the film said, hey, you know, can you act? And I said, you know, I'm from Chicago. He said, okay, Shabba-Doo from Chicago, why don't you go across town and go see it, tell us if you can act. Let's see what they say. And so I went over there and I just played myself. And the line that got me the movie is when I said, because I had no acting experience per se, and I just said, I'm Ozone, street dancer. And when I said that, they kind of looked at each other, and when I was on my way home, about 20 minutes later, they told me I had the role.
All right, now, you got the role. Now, tell me about working in that movie along with Boogaloo Shrimp, who played Turbo.
Well, Boogaloo Shrimp at the time was a part of my group. I had a group called the Fantastic Five at the time. And that group was Lollipop, Anna Lollipop Sanchez, Bruno Papintaco Falcone. I had, and sometimes once in a while, loosely, Sugar Pop used to come and dance with us here and there. And then we had the little kid Coco that kind of came along with Boogaloo Shrimp. And myself, and also Puppet Boozer from the Electric Boogaloo.
Okay.
And so that's how they all got into the movie, and that's how Boogaloo Shrimp got into the movie. They got into the movie by way of me.
Okay, so did you pretty much know that after doing Breakin' that it was going to be a cult classic and that it was going to spawn Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo?
Well, no, I certainly didn't know it would become a cult classic, but however, I did know while making the film that it was something that I think would be attractive to young people and that they would respond to it. I didn't have any way of knowing that they would respond to that magnitude, but I did know that they would like it.
Right, because I'm sure after Breakin', everybody went and got the spiked belt buckles and the Converses.
And the Converse and the bandanas around the waist and the ankles and the whole nine.
And they probably tried to do the broomstick trick that Boogaloo Shrimp did in the movie.
They tried to do the broom trick. They tried, to some lesser degree, tried to dance up the wall. They also tried to dance on buildings and other types of things. But
yeah,
those are movie. That's movie magic.